There comes a moment in many of our lives when we look around and realize that something doesn't feel right. Everything might appear fine on the surface. You're doing the things you were told to do, following the path that seemed safe, maybe even checking the boxes that others consider success. But deep inside, there's a quiet tug, a whisper that says, "This isn't me. There's more to me than this." That whisper is your true self calling you back, asking to be seen, asking to be remembered. Today, I want to speak to that part of you, the part that already knows the truth, the part that has always been there, waiting patiently for you to come home. From the time we're little, we're shaped by the world around us. Parents, teachers, culture, society, they all mean well, but they project their own ideas of who we should be. Be polite, don't talk too much, work hard, don't be so sensitive, achieve more. We internalize these voices until they become like costumes we wear. We become so used to them that we forget we ever had another choice. These masks can protect us at first, helping us fit in or avoid pain. But over time, the masks grow heavy. They stop being protective and start becoming prisons. And one day, we wake up realizing we've forgotten what our own face looks like underneath. If you've ever felt that emptiness, that subtle ache that no accomplishment or relationship seems to fix, you've brushed against this truth. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, "I don't even recognize myself anymore," that's your inner self stirring, gently nudging you awake. And if you've ever felt restless or unfulfilled, even when everything should feel fine, that's the evidence that you've been living by someone else's script instead of your own. Awakening to your true self is not about tearing down your life overnight. It's about remembering what was always there, underneath the noise and expectations. The journey of awakening begins with noticing. Noticing where you're living out of obligation, where you're trying to please, where you're performing instead of being. For me, I remember a time in my life when I was proud of myself for being independent and never asked for help. I did everything on my own, and people praised me for being strong. But deep inside, I was tired. I was empty. I realized the day that I wasn't being independent out of what I truly wanted to be. I turned down any help offered to me because I was afraid that people would like me less if I was weak. And in that moment, I understood that I was not living for myself. I was living in fear of being unloved if I didn't measure up. That realization broke me open because it showed me that somewhere along the way, I had lost touch with who I truly was. Awakening is painful in the beginning because it asks you to face the truth that many of your choices were made to fit into molds that never belonged to you. It asks you to see clearly how much of your life was driven by fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being too much or not enough, fear of abandonment. But in that rawness lies the opening, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you see it, you can begin to choose differently. Your true self has always been speaking. It speaks in the spark of joy you feel when you're doing something you love, even if you dismiss it as unimportant. It speaks in the deep sigh of relief when you drop the mask, even for a moment. It speaks in the quiet longing that rises when you see someone else living authentically and you think, "I wish I could do that too." The challenge is not that your true self is silent, it's that the world has taught you not to listen. Awakening is the art of listening again. Looking back, I always enjoyed team sports growing up. And how could you not get help from your teammates when you were doing team sports, right? But it never occurred to me that being able to receive and not just to give was what I had always longed for. One of the most profound realizations you may come to on this journey is that awakening doesn't make you someone new. It doesn't suddenly give you a different personality or erase your past. It simply strips away what never belonged to you. revealing what was always there. Think of a statue carved from marble. The sculptor doesn't add anything to the stone. They simply chip away at what is not essential until the form that was always hidden inside emerges. That's what awakening is, a gentle, sometimes difficult, sometimes liberating process of letting go of what is not you so you can see yourself as you've always been. For some of you, this awakening may feel like a homecoming. You may remember things you loved as a child, passions that lit you up, ways of being that felt natural before the world told you to tone it down. Maybe you were expressive or creative or deeply sensitive, and you learned to hide those parts of you. Awakening is reclaiming them. For others, awakening may feel disorienting at first, because when you start to peel away the masks, you might realize you don't know who you are without them. And that's okay. That's part of the process. The not knowing is not a void, it's fertile ground. It means you're no longer living automatically, and you're finally creating space to rediscover yourself. So, how do you begin? The answer isn't complicated, but it does take courage. You start by asking questions you may have avoided. You start by paying attention to where you feel heavy and where you feel light. You start by noticing the difference between a yes that drains you and a yes that energizes you. These may sound small, but they're the doorways to remembering who you are. Your body, your emotions, your intuition, they are all guiding you back if you're willing to listen. Now, here's a simple practice for today. Find a quiet moment and place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? Who am I when I don't have to impress or perform? Don't overthink it. Just listen. The answer may come as images, as feelings, as memories, or as words. Write down whatever arises, no matter how small. And then ask a second question. What part of me is longing to be seen right now? Again, write down whatever comes. This practice is not about arriving at a perfect destination of who you are. It's about beginning the dialogue, beginning to trust that your true self knows the way back. As you continue to do this, you may notice your life subtly shifting. You may start saying no to things that you once felt obligated to say yes to. You may start making choices that don't make sense to others but feel right to you. You may start expressing parts of yourself that you kept hidden. At first, it may feel vulnerable, even scary, to show up as yourself. But over time, you will find that authenticity feels lighter than any mask ever did. You would discover that the relationships, opportunities, and experiences that truly align with you will begin to flow into your life once you stop pretending. Awakening to your true self is not a one time event, it's a lifelong unfolding. There will be layers upon layers to peel back. There will be moments when you forget and fall back into old patterns, and moments when you feel clearer than ever before. That's all part of the journey. The important thing is to keep coming back, to keep asking, to keep listening. Every time you choose truth over performance, love over fear, authenticity over approval, you strengthen your connection to the self that has always been there. So today, I invite you to take that step, even if it's small, even if it's just allowing yourself to say, that's me, without apology. Even if it's just taking one mask off for a moment to let yourself breathe. The more you do this, the more natural it'll become. Until one day you realize you no longer need the masks at all. You've come home to yourself. And when that day comes, you know. Because instead of emptiness, you feel fullness. Instead of restlessness, you feel peace. Instead of looking outside yourself for validation, you find it within. That is the power of awakening. And that is the gift of seeing who you really are. So ask yourself right here, right now, are you ready to see you? Not the version the world shaped, not the version you've been performing, but the you that's been waiting patiently all along. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and say softly to yourself, I see you. Let those words land in your heart because awakening begins with the simple act of recognition. And once you've seen yourself, truly seen yourself, life will never be the same again.